Speaking of warming up, it's cold here. And I'm in
You
Florida.
see that with your thick jacket you got on there.
Yep. doubles as a bulletproof vest.
Mm-hmm.
And in Florida, since everyone's packing heat, kind of need it. So
Everyone's packing heat.
Packing, man.
It's also good for them gator teeth, right? If they rolling around with you on the ground.
Oh yeah, dude. I've actually got bit already twice by. I got a little baby gator. Go around the backyard.
Baby gator.
Yeah. They squeal too, man. They're like, wah, wah. They're loud, dude. Kind of like a pig, but a little bit meaner.
Are you sure those aren't the air horns from your neighbors having parties?
Yeah, no, this is the gator. Yeah.
How about now?
You sound amazing.
You sound better. Yeah.
You look
the
like
same, but you sound better.
Can you do anything with the way you look?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you? Oh.
CJ, we are live streaming, by the way.
Yeah. So now
Yeah, we're on the air. Everyone's watching you. Close your blinds.
Yeah. Can you do that special lighting thing that you'd normally have? Like, just it's too bright in there. Ooh. We got like a ton of articles. There's no way we're gonna get through all this.
No, just pick your faves. I
Pick
think
your
we'll start with
faves. Pick your faves.
Start with the main, the big one. I want to
Hey,
give it
CJ,
away.
welcome back. We are live on Pre-Banter.
Excellent. That was easy.
Boom.
CJ's actually just playing chess live during the show.
Yeah,
CJ's always playing 4D chess.
If
Yeah.
you hear click pop, that's definitely the move.
What's 4D chess? Is there like an extra like?
Oh,
There's
this
a
guy
card
doesn't
dimension.
Star Trek. Whoa.
I thought Star Trek was just 3-dimensional.
Yeah,
That's
but then
4-dimensional?
see,
Oh yeah, that is 4.
in the remake, they added another dimension
Oh,
because.
jeez, I'm not a nerd like you guys. Okay.
I mean, I just completely made that up.
I'm not a Star Trek nerd. Let me. I got my own nerd things, just not Star Trek.
May the Trek be with you, right?
I think we just insulted
that's it.
Star Trek fans.
That's it, right?
Yes.
Are you in House Picard?
That's Slytherin.
I couldn't imagine Picard living in Florida. I feel like in Star Trek, if they went to Florida, they would get killed. Like they're like, we're beaming down to Florida. Oh god, they're gonna send
So
the
if,
advanced crew.
In Star Trek 4, when they went to San Francisco, if they went to SeaWorld Orlando instead, it wouldn't have worked.
No, they would have gotten killed.
Yeah.
All right, it's time. Are we
Florida
ready?
folk.
No signs of intelligence anywhere,
No signs of intelligence.
and I mean on this show. So yes, we're ready.
Yes.
All right. Here we go. Drop that video like it's hot.
Drop it.
Drop.
Welcome to Black Hills Information Security, talking about the news. I'm your host today, Ralph May. John is flying away to some distant paradise, and we have a huge set of news stories today, which we're not going to get through all of them. We also have a large cast today. We have Corey, we got Steve, we have a guest, Alex, who's going to talk about little teams hacking for us. We also have CJ. He's actually playing chess right now, but he showed up to experience the whole thing. So
He's here in case anyone needs to be fired during the show.
yeah, actually, it's a kind of an HR mixed thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had some incidents in the past, and so what's going to happen is if we don't do this right, one of us is going to get fired.
If you guys seen Hunger Games, it's kind of like that, but live and just with your jobs.
Is this like Celebrity Square, since we're all up in here in little boxes? If we answer the question wrong, we get dropped out and one left standing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, if CJ says pass the next article, then I'm just gonna turn off my webcam and leave.
That's when you know you've been chosen. So, what do you guys want to start with today?
Well, there's
Well,
nothing really going on, right? I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, so there's no stories. There's not anything about Ukraine and cyber attacks or anything about that.
Well, we
There's-
did talk about that last time. That pretty much maybe they've got other things to worry about, but there's still a lot of that going on. They got that to worry about too.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the tanks are still definitely a priority over the cyber attacks, but we'll talk about the cyber attacks 'cause we care way more about that than the old, old school pushing around things on a little tiny map with one of those little paddle things that like they do in movies.
Yeah. We can tell you've been in some war rooms there, Corey.
I am an experienced general. I have 3 stars on Yelp.
Wow. That is pretty low. That's pretty low.
Well, for a general, dude.
I mean, for a general on Yelp, come on. Generally, Yelp scores could do.
The only guy with 5 stars is Patton.
No, it was actually Eisenhower.
I'm sorry.
Yes,
I
General of War. I think is that whole.
We talk about the future on this show, not the past.
Oh.
Both.
So that said,
Just start at the top, Ralph. Talk about Belarus.
You talk about Belarus. You know so much.
I don't know anything about Belarus. All I know is that hacktivists, which I mean, I'm glad we've kept that term around.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I'm up for a good old portmanteau, as they're known, which is not a kind of wine. It's just 2 words combined together. Sadly,
Oh.
hacktivists say they hacked Belarus rail system to stop Russian military buildup. So this is, I guess, completely unconfirmed. It was posted to Telegram, which obviously is a completely valid news source with no, questionable. Like, it's not like anyone could just start a misinformation campaign. Like Russia would never. No, Russia would not do that.
Are you kidding me?
So yeah, I guess supposedly, if you just go ahead and take down a rail system, that stops a company or a country from getting invaded.
All right, so
Were they gonna ride the subway to battle? Like I don't entirely understand.
at the end of this article, though, there's some screenshots of them demonstrating access, right? But what I think is funny is one of the network shares has got key gens for vCenter and workspace,
Well,
all
dude,
these VMware tools, just free licenses. It's kind of funny, actually.
why does Belarus use English Windows Server? Wouldn't they be using?
They do. They put some Russian screenshots in there. They had to make it look better.
That seems legit.
It does seem legit.
Oh yeah, here we go. Here's some arbitrary ICS SCADA interface, HMI or something with some colors.
Yeah. I don't. And then what are they showing? They're showing a little SQLi injection here. Is that the demonstrating the entry point here? Anyways, Telegram is definitely where I get all my news now, exclusively. So it's the leading source of unfiltered news, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, so I guess on this one, I mean, there's a lot of, I guess what do we call it, cyber warfare news about the whole Russia activism situation. I think in general, I would guess most of the cyber stuff is targeted more towards misinformation campaigns and redirection and stuff like that. But it is interesting to see how, the Belarus railway was taken down by, I guess, ransomware or whatever.
Well, we've seen in the past too, the Iranian railway get attacked too. That was a few months ago, I believe, as well. So I don't know if this seems more of a target of opportunity, oh my God, we just hacked into this railway. Let's make something out of it versus some targeted attack.
I mean, it says that ticket sales were unavailable. I can't imagine the Russian military being we can't buy tickets. How are we going to invade? Don't you bring your own trains? If I was a military, I would at least bring my own trains.
Yeah, that's it, right? You stop the ticketing system, you stop the invasion.
I have this AK-74 that says I can get on this train.
I don't have a ticket, but I have this.
That's what I was wondering if this would evoke a conventional response, even in minor forms. When I looked into the article, somebody referenced when ransomware drug cartels, and the drug cartels were like, "Fine, we'll just start killing people until you unransom this." And they're like,
Oh God.
and so it's like, okay, well, didn't plan for that.
It's like, okay, we're just gonna invade because we can't use the trains.
Yeah,
Like-
we'll just use our weapons then, like the AK, like CJ said.
Yeah.
Forced us into this.
Let's be real. What probably happened is it just broke on its own, and they took credit for it and like made up some screenshots in MS Paint. That's what I would do if I was a Telegram hacker group.
Interestingly, Corey, you were talking about history. We're about the future, and I started listening to Sandworm this weekend, and it's going all through the history in Ukraine and what Russia's strategy is in using this, and a huge part, not just to shut off the power grid, which was pretty cool. Can I turn up so but they're trying to. It's definitely misinformation, disinformation, and one of Russia's tactics is to destroy the Ukraine's public image, basically, with their own people. So they're fighting this on so many different levels. It's kind of interesting. So it's been interesting to me to kind of like hear the history and give me some context, and so then this story becomes a lot more interesting to me. So.
Yeah. So there have been some legitimate. I guess there was a false flag. There's another article which we can transition to about a false flag operation, which is a classic misinformation, disinformation thing. I don't know if anyone wants to cover that article. I didn't get super in depth with it, but
Yeah, well, that's another one. Ukrainian government calls out false flag operation. So that's what I think about the train one as well. I mean, attribution is hard. How do you know it's not another organization pretending to be somebody else? In this case, the Ukrainian government said today it found evidence meant to connect the data wiping attack that hit its own system 2 weeks ago to a pro-Ukrainian hacking group. Is what they described as a false flag. So they summarized the attack in the article. You can see that they targeted a CMS and things like that. I don't see specifically what is the false flag here versus maybe deploying Whispergate or whatever they're using.
I think what they're saying is that the real attackers left indicators that point to pro-Ukrainian hackers when really it was someone else. I believe that is the way that they're using that term, false flag.
It looks like the ASCII description in the ransomware is also kind of what they attributed it to. But like I said, anybody can do misattribution, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I put a fake, who am I.dad on the desktop and whatever. It says I'm Corey, but really I'm not. And how do you prove that or disprove that?
Yep.
This is why I changed my language on all my boxes to Russian. You'll never be able to know. Yeah, it's actually a lot hard though. Yeah.
They even used the same Bitcoin address as someone that targeted Russian organizations with a similar attack. So I guess they're willing to just not collect any of those Bitcoins.
Collect.
Or they hack
collect.
the wallet pre-attack and
Yeah. You know how easy it is to make another address? Whatever. It's not important.
No, it's hard, man. You can only have one wallet, one
wallet.
address. That's not how the blockchain works.
I don't know how the blockchain works. I just talk to you guys about it.
Where's Bo when you need him?
Oh. Yeah. No, I actually have a Russian keyboard. Not just a language pack.
So that's how I can't get your password, man. You need to.
I know, man. I know. I don't even know it, dude. I just know what the keys are.
Oh yeah. So the last Ukrainian article we'll have, or Ukrainian, Russian, whatever, Eastern European article, is that apparently the cyber defense is in need of upgrades.
No.
In the Captain Obvious news organization official post, if you're going to war, you may want to upgrade cyber defense.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of a good thing. I guess it is somewhat notable because it's the former deputy minister of Ukraine's information policy said, we have to remember that we are actually at war and we still have to do quick reforms. So I guess war can make governments patch things. Is that what we're learning? I'm not really sure, but
This is not news. They've been at war for how long?
It depends on who you ask. If you ask Russia, they've never been at war.
Never, right?
No, they've always been just getting closer, right? Like a
Well, they
friend.
kind of, they've kind of poked at the bear,
Yeah.
the bear that carries Putin around.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if I was a Ukrainian, I would think that we've been at war for several millennia from the history I was hearing. It's not very pretty.
I wonder if they're conscripting any cyber defense people. Like obviously they're going to conscript some lady with an, assault rifle, but are they conscripting someone that's like going to go and beef up their defenses like on the cyber side, I wonder? Because it'd be really, I mean, I don't know if anyone's heard anything, obviously the Twitterverse is one thing, but it'd be funny if they're like, we need you. You are being drafted to patch Windows servers. You're like, I guess it's better than the front lines, but.
Yeah. Have you heard of WSIS? Whatever. It's not important.
We don't do that here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called cyber cannon fodder. That's where you sit there and you absorb all the heat coming in and take the first rounds.
Dude, that honestly would be like, if you are amassing, resources for a war, you could just set up like some fake servers to go hack, waste their time. Like just set up like a random domain that's like Ukraine.gov.
I'm sure Ralph could Docker container us a entire, like electric company.
One Docker container, the whole thing. Now, could you imagine that though? Them just like hacking, and then posting about it. Oh, we got him. We're like, oh, that's
yeah, you shut off a Docker container. Good job.
Yeah, God, you got us again. Hold on. We're making a new site. This one's way more secure. Try to hack this one. Just like taunting them with fake, setup. So
yeah, I mean, like it'd be funny if like, how like, oh, the drone crashed or the plane crashed. Now we're analyzing it for parts or whatever. It'd be funny if someone's like, oh, if you defect and provide malware samples, we will provide you with $1 million or whatever. Like, send us SHA signatures of all the malwares or whatever. I don't know. It'd just be funny, but yeah. I mean, cyber warfare is, I guess, still less scary than real warfare, but getting kind of scarier as time goes on.
You have to bridge the kinetic with the cyber, right, and be able to get that. What we call impact on offensive engagements, right? Show that impact. And a lot of times that has to be kinetic. So we think of things like Stuxnet or where there's real world or physical world things happening due to it, right? So can you turn the power off for a day? Can you make the microwave warm and spoil their food so they can't eat and then they can't fight correctly?
It'll be interesting if that happens. Like, I guess with the train system, I'm still struggling to imagine how, other than, cutting off communications and things like that, or like, classic stuff. Like, I'm like, okay, if you take the subway system offline, I mean, I guess that it could. You
can cause panic, right? If you're able to cause panic from the inside, then that really helps your case from the outside. If they're disorganized, they've got more stuff to fix than what you're coming at them with from the outside, and they're distracted. It does help for sure.
Yeah, and it sounded like what CJ said is probably the real angle, which is it's so unsexy, but the angle of let's try to make their citizens have less faith in their government, right? Like the classic, if your town's being invaded and you're like, well, I don't trust the Ukrainian government at all, well, then you're probably less likely to resist versus if you're like, I will stand for what I believe in, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So they talked about during some of the demonstrations they had where the Russians set up cell towers and spoofed and just transmitted massive, go home, we're all moving over to here, that kind of disinformation, misinformation in an environment that's somewhat kinetic like that. All this is another realm of fighting. Information has always been a part of warfare, right? Used to arrive on horseback. But this has a lot of things that they can do with it. So,
is there going to be another missile alert? This is not a test, like happened in Hawaii.
That's a different thing, I think.
Well, but you could definitely use that in conjunction. Something at the opposite. Evacuate a town before you, roll in or whatever. But
all sorts of there's never end to the creativity that can be applied with this.
Well, let's just hope that they're just maneuvering and that no blood will be spilled. But who knows? When Russia sets its eyes on something, it probably it might be like running away from the bear.
Hopefully, I'll put on my tennis shoes.
Yeah, right.
Do not climb a tree.
Do
it is not worth it.
They're actually excellent tree climbers.
Black bears are, not grizzly bears or Kodiaks.
Well, you know, I'm not going to...
Is it a bluff charge? I feel like if Russia was a bear, it'd probably be a grizzly bear. I mean, first of all, aren't they native? Like, it, you know.
Yeah.
But...
No.
So yeah, we done with government? Let's keep going on government. You want to talk about Canada?
One more. Let's do the GPS one.
Oh, yeah. So
talk about a critical system.
Yeah, the DoD. So now we're over here in America, out of Russia, is testing GPS satellite systems, right? So, but when I say testing, they're trying to do
for space news being the
yeah, right. Here. They're trying to do operational tests for U.S. space systems, is what they're calling it. So the idea that the GPS system is a full, complete system, and there's a bunch of different DoD contractors who are kind of in the product development here. So making the satellites, making the actual ground devices and everything like that. And they want to do checks for GPS systems to help shore up the fact that, you know, during an attack, they can't be shut down or they'll continue to function. So,
yeah. So for those that don't know, turns out the government put a bunch of satellites in orbit, and that's how GPS works. And if those satellites don't work, then apparently we have to use GLONASS, which is the Russian system, or what is it? Something else? The Chinese one? No, there's
yeah. Call up Musk, please.
Yes. Google. Here's how you get your position. Go to Google and type "Where am I?" That will tell you where your coordinates are. That is how missiles work. They just use Google Maps, which is why they get stuck in traffic.
You can also triangulate to the ads that you're getting.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
we saw
Would
recently.
You like Triple Star vodka? Oh, I must be.
We saw recently that the Russians had taken out a satellite with a missile. So that kind of brings us into that kinetic realm of, hey, they can just shoot down our GPS satellites, or can that same be done? I guess talking about Ukraine against them, or would they have to take out ours? Are we aiding them? I'm not sure what all.
Yeah. I would assume
GPS to mess with.
So
I would assume. Well, go ahead, CJ.
It's the same system. The civilian system and the military system they're both using the same stuff here. So the Ukrainians very well could be using it. In fact, that's a great question. I don't know what other countries are generally using.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so there's actually, even in the like hacker space, there's a lot. I think the Air Force or other, you know, this is pre-Space Force, but there's a CTF called Hackasat that they do every year where it's basically like a selection system, but they have a bunch of challenges. It's like open sign up, which if you're interested in that kind of stuff, highly recommend. And then whoever the top, I think it's 10 teams or something, they get to proceed, and then they're actually offered the ability to really target real satellites and go and try to break them. So there is a, you know, already somewhat established thing for like hacking satellites in like the open space, but it is interesting to see how the government is investing it in like the, you know, actual DoD, real contractors, etc.
So we kind of talked about one attack for GPS satellites, which would be, you know, maybe like shooting it out of the sky, right? And there's more than one satellite, and they're low Earth orbit satellites, so they're kind of hard to hit, but I mean, definitely hittable. But the other way to attack this platform of systems is by corrupting or manipulating the GPS data that you're receiving, so that when you think that this would be the location that, for example, you know, a missile is supposed to hit, it's off by, you know, 2 miles or something, right? So you're just not hitting your targets because there's no way to validate the information that's coming from those systems. And so that's what the DoD and the military in general are integrating into their systems, is some kind of validation for that data. So you're not just receiving it and blindly trusting that that is the accurate, you know, GPS location.
Well, a satellite is a threat. Has an attack surface, right? There's also like, you know, there's radios, there's sensors, like all that stuff can potentially be interfered with. at the protocol level and at the actual physical level, right? So like if there's a buffer overflow in the radio protocol that the satellite uses, and
Sure.
there's a way to trigger it by sending your own, radio signal to those satellites, you can, it's theoretically possible to just, go and take down a satellite without doing anything kinetic and just sending data to it. So, if you tell the satellite to adjust its thruster to, negative 100 miles altitude or whatever, it's gonna crash. Like,
Yeah, so you're saying I can send it like a, and it will eventually just crash itself?
I mean, that's another, right? There's also denial of service, and even with physical sensors, like if it's a camera or something, there's potential that sensor could be burned out with a laser, or like, all that stuff has to be shielded from EMF and all that stuff. So, I mean, it's just a satellite is just a floating computer in the sky, right? On some level, like, so there and obviously some of the stuff might not have been designed with the current technology that we have and the current cyber, landscape.
So that I almost got to work on this, and I didn't, which is probably one of the more positive things for it. But I can tell you the project was a mess. It was a very big government project. However, it did exist in the modern era that it came in, and so they're designing in a lot more security now. Will they do it right? I don't know. They're going to try to follow NIST 800-53, but we know that a large, complex system, there's plenty of places to go wrong here. I bet they got a lot of big things right, but the devil is in the details.
Yeah.
So basically, if you're coding a GPS thing, consider making it reliant not only on GPS, but also GLONASS and whatever Beidou or the Chinese ones, because there's actually 3. So you could like cross-reference all 3 and probably get a decent answer. But all 3 superpowers can't have their GPS systems down at the same time. I mean, come on.
No, that's World War III.
Missiles are just flying back and forth, being like, "Where am I? I'm lost. Do you know where can you talk?" What we need is decentralized blockchain missile targeting.
Do it, dude.
Yeah.
He said it. He said it.
Coined it. Missile
rockets
coin.
that talk to other rockets, but they have to mine.
They're decentralized.
Like, they mine while they flying,
But then the government can't build rockets because they can't get GPUs because of the
GPU. I know. And next thing you know, NVIDIA is part of the government. Okay.
Hey, you
Gamer
said it,
rockets.
right? They're trying to figure out a way to validate that data that gets transferred from satellites. What's better than a blockchain, right? Validate that data.
Nothing is better than a blockchain unless you need to do it at any speed or any like.
Right. What's the saying? Whatever. This needs blockchain, and they just put like nothing in front of it.
Yeah. Watch someone's gonna start using. The Russian government or the Russian military is gonna start using air tags to track tanks. They're just gonna stick it on the back.
Somewhere there's a sci-fi writer that's going, wait, slow down.
Slow down.
Like a plot.
You guys are way too fast.
Someone somewhere is drafting a VC pitch in their inbox right now. They're like, blockchain satellites? I don't know where this is going, but give me $10 million.
This is amazing. Speaking of the U.S. government, so I guess the FBI reportedly was considering buying NSO spyware, which is, again, no surprise.
Did
they know they were considering it, or was it
they
corps?
They did.
Are we saying considered in air quotes?
Yeah, I don't. Let's use considered in air quotes, right?
A Freedom of Information Act request from 17 years ago. No, I'm just kidding.
So I guess they were trying out some of this and had, plans to deploy it, according to NYT News, but they decided against it after, they found out that this wasn't. They actually just got on a ban list. The what was it? Department of Commerce?
It says beginning in 2019. So this is I was joking, but it is actually a Freedom of Information Act request from years ago, or not even that, but an investigation by journalists. So.
Yeah, the NSO group was sanctioned by the U.S. Department of Commerce in November 2021, but they had provided spyware product to the FBI, which they tested for years with plans to use it for domestic surveillance until the agency finally decided against deploying the software, according to the report.
I mean, 2 things that are surprising about this. One, they didn't buy it, or at least it says, because I would have assumed they were using it. I think a lot of people, we've talked about it on the show a lot, people assume that the U.S. government is using this in some way, shape, or form.
Sure.
And number two, what did they end up going with, right? Because this had to be like a, RFP or something. You know what I mean? Like, what product did they end up actually buying?
Request for spyware.
Like, if they didn't go with NSO, what did they buy instead?
Ooh.
Classic case of show us what you have, and we'll just make our own.
Can you give us a demo and
Yeah,
send
can we-
samples? And
We need source code for this demo, actually. We don't trust that you guys aren't doing anything weird.
yeah, we're going to need to audit the source code too. Can you just send that over?
Yeah. I mean, yes, no surprise that they were looking to buy this. I mean,
We just had to say NSO on the show because it's
Yeah.
one of our, recurring segments.
we need to like start ranking like the quality of spyware. This is like level 1, and like level 2 a little bit lower, level 3, level 4 is
I like it. It's confusing, just like the drug schedules. Like, how is 5 worse than 1?
Well, leave it to me to make it a little bit more confusing.
Also, why are they called schedules? Is it like, 9 a.m. Xanax, 10 a.m. marijuana? Like, I don't understand. Why is it a schedule?
Well, anyways, yeah. Why would they not be buying it? Why would they not want to have access to be able to read information or access devices from targets? So.
What this tells us is that another government org bought it instead of the FBI.
Maybe they're the only
They
one
were outbid.
The CIA came in with a much better deal.
Yeah, much better offer. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Who knows?
Ralph, did you hack my webcam
Yes.
again?
Yeah. It's Monday, man.
It's his hobby.
Did you get paid to do it?
No, I do it for fun.
Oh, well, that sucks because this guy got paid $100,000 to do it.
Oh, for Apple?
Well, I wouldn't say for Apple, but
You
for
know what?
himself.
We hack Apple for Apple. It's to make them better.
It's cool that they're paying out bug bounties instead of just sending out lawyers. But I guess for them, $100,000 is like what, 2 iPhones, 3 iPhones?
Not even. Apple sells 1 million iPhones a day. Found out that the other day. So I guess this researcher found 4 zero-day bugs. Wow,
he was not kidding.
Two of them did not get awarded CVEs, but 2 of them were awarded CVEs. And this attack chain allowed the attacker to control the camera. So every site that was in there, and he reported it to Apple and was awarded a $100,000 bug bounty. So it must have been pretty legit for them to award the bounty.
For cross-site scripting.
Well, see, when you cross-site script your way into someone's webcam, you probably deserve $100,000. Because that is some next level stuff. Yeah, the write-up is really cool. It's just on his own personal blog, which is always, nice to see that it's actually out in the open. I mean, it's not like he walks through the source code or whatever. Or, I mean, he does in some cases, but it's a cool example. It's a cool abuse.
This is Attack on Safari, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There have been a bunch of those out. They're all urgently trying to patch up.
Yeah, if you've been listening to the show in the last 2 weeks, you've stopped using Safari, hopefully, by now.
Yeah, I've had to turn it off now. I can't trust my webcam. It's just
so. Yep, pretty good. They've been patched, and they got $100,000 bounty out the door, which, I'm pretty sure that's more than Microsoft has paid in the last 20 years. So.
Oh, shots fired.
Unless those T-shirts are worth $20,000.
Sometimes they send out other things than T-shirts, right? Like maybe like a Surface or some other Microsoft
Surface. They're like, here, you can research this now.
Yeah. Hey, do you want to do more free work? Don't worry. We have sent you another device for you to do free work.
We think this is a feature. Do not fix.
It is a feature. Everything in Microsoft's a feature until it's patched. And then
Speaking of features, I know we're just bouncing around. Microsoft Teams. Can I just send a message to anyone in the whole world? Is that a thing?
Maybe.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah, it is, right?
It's a feature, right? I can just send a Teams message to anyone in the world, and it's totally not phishing.
Yeah, so I came across this article because a fellow fisher sent
Ooh,
me
the fishing community.
in
Real.
the fishing community. Yeah,
Fishermen. No, I'm just
Fishermen.
kidding.
Fishermen.
No.
Well, it was a-
Fisherman
it was-
or fisherwoman.
This was a
All right,
fisherwoman
commercial
in this
fisher or
case.
just like amateur fisher, like commercial fisher? Yeah,
It
possibly.
sounds commercial if they're discovering Microsoft techniques.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were like, "Oh, this is a new fishing technique," and I'm like, I read it and I go, "It can't be that easy." So I go over to just my regular account on Teams, and I'm like, "I'm just gonna message my work account, see if it goes through," and it went through, and I'm like, "That's just from my Gmail account." It's like, wait a minute. So it pops up with the display name. Can I go into one of my disposable accounts, sign up into Teams, and it asks me what display name I want, and I go, sure. Let's use the name of my CEO at my day job. So I'm like, you set up as a CEO, send a message. Sure enough, pops up as the message. It still gives that warning of it's an external user. But there are ways around it, and certainly trusting end users to not click accept. But all it said was name of CEO in brackets external wants to have a chat.
Yeah.
So you could set that up as really anybody and say, hey, it's it's your friend at BHIS. So you go, Ralph at BHIS external is trying to chat with you, and you go, oh, okay, I'll just accept it. It doesn't show the email address. I used one of my disposable email addresses that was video game characters, so it's like, Psycho Donkey Kong at gmail.com, which isn't my email address. It didn't show that. So when we're trying to go, okay, who is this from? How do we block it? As an end user, maybe you can block it. How do you report this to your security team? So that leads to the story is that I ended up working with my security team to say, hey, this is a problem. They're like, oh, let's let the infrastructure manager know. And I go, great. I'm going to send the infrastructure manager like just a quick note as the CEO on Teams. That was not the best move. He did not share our sense of humor with this, but it certainly got their attention.
Yeah. So some people have asked in chat, how is this? What is the risk here? Whatever. And obviously, Alex covered a lot of the risks. Like basically, First of all, a lot of organizations rely on the email vendor's solution for URL filtering and like for example, Proofpoint does their own filtering and checking. And their own, like if you click a link in an email with Proofpoint, it goes through their URL filtering, which is global. So like if I fish one company and then someone burns that link and then I fished another company with the same email, it'll be blocked everywhere. So in Teams, that doesn't necessarily happen. Obviously, web filters can happen outside of email and outside of that client, but a lot of organizations do depend on the actual email-based filtering of those web links. There's also spam filters are kind of helpful and good for reporting spam messages, which Alex mentioned. You can't, if there's no button in Teams that says report as phishing, what do? Screen cap it and email it to IT?
Oh, go ahead.
Well, just you can't easily inspect, right? How do we train our users, or how do we train people to not get phished? Inspect the sender address. Okay, how do you do that, right? Like, they can set their name to anything arbitrary. It's basically spoofing. So, basically disable this immediately.
Yeah. And this was one of the things that Microsoft turned it on as like just an opt-out. So they're like, we're just going to turn this on. So that was what caught my attention. Is this may have been a technique that have been around, and I'm certainly not the first to do this, but they turned it on and you had to discover it and turn it back off. And then it also, when I tried it, it still renders the link in that little pop-up window before you even accept. The little toaster icon pops up and renders that message. So that may also be some avenues for exploitation as well.
Yeah.
I like to see that when you're phishing with against an organization and they're using Microsoft Outlook, for example. Outlook by default blocks an entire list of file extensions. Well, if you can team somebody, I can literally just send you an executable file directly in Teams, and it goes right basically to your SharePoint because that's what Teams runs on. But it's not just another avenue, but I think it's more impactful because of the types of files and things that you can send over Teams versus an email.
Yeah, it's also as a pen tester very a new vector, because what real threat actors do a lot of times is they'll phish people on third-party sites like LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, etc., which that for us is generally out of scope. We're not going to be sending malware in like LinkedIn, because now LinkedIn's part of this pen test. It gets awkward. It's weird. But Teams, if it's run by the organization, is totally fair game for sending these kinds of messages. You can establish a rapport with someone like, hey, I'm out of the office, I'm working from home, I can't get on the VPN. Can you run this real quick and see if it connects or whatever? It's easier to develop a pretext in real time, and it's less, people sometimes get their guard up when they're, someone calls them or they're looking at their email. People kind of put that guard up, but then when it's a chat, they might have their guard down because they feel more comfortable. So, Steve said it best: more techniques can equal more success, just because it's a new vector that people aren't comfortable with. There's no training that says how to defend against it, and in especially organizations that do a lot of like M&A and other stuff, you can have like 10 tenants in an organization that are all business units or whatever. So you might be used to seeing that external thing in Teams. So it's just a new vector, but it can be turned off and should be probably everywhere.
Yep, and I'm certainly going to I give the training for our organization, and I'm going to have to reinforce this as well, just from chat, because a lot of organizations, you just by default trust Teams. You go, if I'm getting Teams messages from someone, I'm going to trust their authenticity. So I'm going to have to update our training to say, it's possible that you'll get Teams messages that you still need to have some scrutiny.
Yeah, everything is a phishing vector at this point.
Yep.
Like Ralph mentioned before the show, we've seen a lot of phishing in the crypto space with like airdrops, which in crypto is like, hey, you have free money, collect it here. It's a classic thing. Like, I've won a cruise, but I only have to go to this site to collect it. Like, everything is a
only have
phishing
to
vector.
pay shipping and handling, and you could win the cruise, right?
Oh yeah.
You're not winning.
All right, so what's next?
Oh, we got so much. We could talk about more Microsoft stuff, because there's been tons of, we got device code registration. We also have the Lazarus group, I think that's, using Windows Update to deploy malware. What do you guys want to talk more Microsoft?
Yeah, let's do it.
Beat them up for a minute.
Yeah, well, we'll go back to Apple. That horse isn't dead.
Yeah. So I'll talk about this Lazarus. Lazarus hackers are using Windows Update to deploy malware. So there's for those who are not aware, the WSUS has a Windows Update client, and I guess they're sending a link file, or excuse me, the malware, like in an attachment. It's a macro-enabled malware that deploys a link file and to the startup folder and includes a Dell in a hidden Windows folder. And when the system is started, it uses the link file to launch WSUS, and WSUS is used to launch the DLL.
So this is a long way to say it's a DLL sideload attack.
That is absolutely right.
But it's a lull boss sideloading attack.
It's a lull.
I like how it's funny. Like, honestly, can we just add all of System 32 to the list of lull boss at this point?
Yeah. There's multiple websites that have them.
Someone's gonna have like freaking persistence in Notepad or something.
So let me take this back a little bit. Let's analyze this a little bit. So after the victim opens the malicious attachment and enables macro execution, right? They hit the little button there on the macro. Let's the code run.
Mm-hmm.
It says the embedded macro drops a LNK file in the startup folder, and we can write to the startup folder, but it also says and drops a DLL in a hidden Windows System 32 folder.
Mm-hmm.
Which folder can we write to as a regular user in Windows System 32? What part of this does not make sense?
I guess. Well, yeah. Also, what is hidden? And I guess app data. I don't know. Maybe they're confused about paths.
Yeah.
Right. So my point here is: are these like users who have local admin and they're like bypassing UAC and able to write to that folder, or
maybe they're not enterprise users, so they do have local admin?
Perhaps.
You never know.
Or I'm wondering if this just epically failed because they couldn't write to that folder.
Yeah. So what?
But they detected them. They found
Yeah,
them.
right.
Got them good.
I'm digging through it, and I can't. I am looking for the path. Windows Update Client to execute code.
I'm gonna execute it on my system right now. I'll let you guys know. Hold on.
Yeah, just trace that. No problem.
It's all good.
But yeah, I mean, obviously this has been revealed. This is out in the open. There's probably Defender signatures for it.
Mm-hmm.
In general, I think there are actually alerts and things for dropping things into that startup folder. So,
Alerts and things.
you know, startup never. It's persistence. It never fails.
Never fails. You gotta get that startup folder. I mean,
That's why you just never reboot. Just kidding.
Yeah,
It's Windows. You have
that's
to.
right. If you never reboot, you can never get hacked. That's false.
Well, no, you can only get hacked once when you boot for the first time.
Yes. What was that? Deep freeze or whatever, where it, like would just like whenever you rebooted it, like went back to no updates from 10 years ago, kind of thing. Yeah.
That's good to make sure machines are always vulnerable to the same Microsoft flaws.
Yeah, for sure. What about old Elon, man? Did you guys hear about this?
What did Elon do?
I know, right? It's like, what did he do this Tuesday? No, he actually didn't do anything. Well, no, he did. He tried to.
You better watch out. Your Tesla's gonna get deactivated.
I know, dude. I don't even say that, man. It's like bad juju. So Musk tried to pay a teen thousands of dollars to stop tracking his plane. So I guess he sent a private a DM on the Twitterverse asking a college student who is running a website that does flight tracking for Elon Musk's jet, which is kind of very specific, but that he offered him $5,000 to deactivate his account, so to stop sharing because he doesn't want to get shot, I guess.
That's what he says, but really what he doesn't want to get is canceled.
Canceled. He doesn't want people tracking him, okay?
It is funny that he offered him $5,000. Like, dude, for him, that's like me being like, you're homeless. Yeah, here's a nickel.
It's a nickel.
Go buy yourself something nice. Yeah, I mean, and now it's like someone said in chat. Now he's like the teen again has kind of come out and said like actually 50K.
50.
Dude, raise your numbers here. You're talking to a billionaire. Like he makes 50K a second. You got to be talking enough money.
Can't you track this stuff for free? I mean, just on flightaware.com or whatever it's called. Can anybody go do this?
Yeah,
but it's like the default settings. It's like the default settings. You know what I mean? Like this account is popular. It has eyeballs on it. So that is, you cut off the snake's head, I guess. It is, you're right though. And I mean, it is, all you have to do is take the whatever tail number or tail identifier of his plane and just put it into a flight tracker API and then
so I guess his account's not unique. I guess there's 15 flight tracking accounts the team set up to follow the whereabouts of billionaires' private jets. Right?
I mean, that's classic though, right?
But
that's like
Gates, Bezos, wherever they're landing, he knows.
I mean,
that's you're paying off. So basically, this kid's holding him for ransom now, right?
Well, he never
pay off one person. Now another person's going to start up an account and do the same thing. Where's it end, right? Do you pay the person who's holding your flights and putting it in public and all that stuff? Or
I mean, what you do if you're really smart is you pay him to just alter the data so it looks better, but it still tweets.
Or
make it.
You have 12 jets and just take a random one, make them all fly at the same time.
Yes, dude, that's so much better.
Nobody knows which one you're in.
Yes, then that person's responsible for 12 times the emissions and the whole takedown. Then he's definitely getting canceled if he does that. But
make him confirm. Like
they're electric jets. They're electric jets because it is Elon Musk.
Okay, so I mean, it is interesting. I think the most interesting thing about this to me is that this is newsworthy. Like, I mean, other than
the fraud here, man, you're a
billionaire offers kid 5 cents to stop doing something.
Yeah, exactly. Like, no one should be shocked by this. If you follow him on Twitter, he would probably offer the Fed $5 to like take the U.S. dollar out of circulation or something. Like, I mean, he's Elon. He lives in a different world that not in the real world, but
not
in
like
billionaire land.
Yeah. I guess he
Yeah.
never. So, in case anyone's wondering, according to this article, that he never actually got back to him. So, never agreed on nothing.
He never got
I guess
back
we know
to
where
him.
he's going to be tonight.
Which, by the way, if you're that kid that did that, please come work at BHIS. We need you. We need people like you.
We need you. All right. What else do you guys want to talk about? We got lots of fun stuff. How about some banking cards? So 15 million U.S. bank cards have been
1.5
Oh, that's what I said.
decimal places.
Yeah, I can't see. 1.5 million U.S. bank cards have been found.
Can be found
on the dark web. Yep, from Nord. Yeah, I think we're selling something here. Am I selling it for them? I don't know. Nord.
Mine is on there if anyone wants it. It's
Yeah.
$5, $5.80.
Or the card number, or
Yeah, for the card number, and it comes with my purchase history.
So, yeah, that's something, a real treat. So I guess MasterCard is a little bit harder because of their like detection for brute forces, but I guess Visa, you can really brute force some cards out there. So I guess they're brute forcing card numbers, possibly. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that. I would guess most of them are leaked.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just what is for sale. I mean, to be honest, take all of these numbers with a huge grain of salt.
Yep.
I can go on a dark web marketplace and say I have 1 million credit card numbers for sale. Unless you have a lot of money to buy them and validate all of them, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. Also, they don't necessarily banks don't control the actual numbers that closely. They control the activity closely. So if you were to purchase one of these credit card numbers and use it, it is extremely likely that it would be taken, offline or whatever, that it would be identified as fraud. That's not always the case. But
So we get rid of credit cards. When are we going to get rid of the plastic, right? Like, or is this going to be forever thing?
I don't think it'll happen anytime soon, just because it's a physical, it's a easy physical way
Remember
to buy
back in the
things.
day when they used to put it on make a imprint of the card itself?
The whole thing. I mean, I will say the alternatives are not amazing. I mean, NFT crypto stuff would be cool, but like scanning QR codes, that's where we're at with crypto, which is like terrible. That's like the worst thing ever. Like, I can literally just take a whole company's profits by just changing their QR code to my wallet. Like,
Good idea. No one's done that.
That's, where we're at is that, I mean, also this article, it quotes numbers that are published by the FTC. And basically it says that consumers are losing more than $3.3 billion to credit card fraud, up from $1.8 billion in 2019. But I don't know exactly what gets lumped in with credit card fraud. I feel like that's not purchasing numbers on the dark web, but more probably like skimmers and other ways of harvesting. It probably is a lump sum numbers, not just like dark web purchases, but.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I guess obviously not surprised about this article, or just the idea that there are tons of credit card numbers on the internet right now, which is, no big surprise there. But I don't know. It's like still a thing. Hey, I thought those chips were supposed to fix this. As soon as we got the chips, everything was supposed to be fixed, right?
The problem is there's no like Web3 use the chip in real and on the internet thing, right? So I still got my stupid code, my 16-digit code and all that stuff.
16-digit code.
Yeah. I mean, I guess for any consumers that are concerned about this, I mean, obviously check your credit cards before you pay them, but also you can use services like privacy or other services that mask your credit card number and use a burner number on each site.
I bought my 3 years of NordVPN using a masked credit card number. Not specifically for this, but now I'm like high-fiving my past self for like good job.
NordVPN's just publishing the research. I think this is their marketing department going and saying, "Hey,
if you had a VPN, you wouldn't get."
Right.
I don't know.
Maybe they're about to launch their new privacy service where you can.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, who knows? But
Who knows?
NordVPN wasn't compromised or anything. So
Yeah.
Certainly going to use more privacy cards now more than ever. This is
Yeah.
this
I
is
mean,
a thing.
yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, the system of credit cards is pretty antiquated and pretty, you know, I think something is probably going to change in the near future when, you know, when a bank when a bank decides that it's their time to enter the crypto space is probably when it all blows up.
Yeah.
When we start having, you know, whatever hardware wallets or more secure ways. I mean, we all know the article also calls out the classic thing, which is the U.S. accounted for 35% of global card fraud, even though we were only 22% of card volume, because they use chip and pin everywhere else.
Yeah,
which
right.
means when you go to a restaurant in Europe or elsewhere, they bring to your table the way of authenticating the credit card. They put in your card, or you do it for that, or you know, you put in your card. Then you have to type in a PIN to actually do the whole transaction. Instead of just I hand my card to a waiter,
Yeah,
he
right.
goes, swipes it at a gas station, swipes it at Apple, then he swipes it at the terminal, then he brings it back to me, right? Or makes a copy of it. Like, you know, it's the way we do it is we don't care, I guess, about security, and so we are, you know, we're good. We're good at getting defrauded out of our credit card numbers. So. Number one, baby.
Speaking of getting defrauded, did you guys read about this two-factor app with 10,000 downloads on Google Play? And it was banking Trojan. So
what? There can be malware in the App Store, dude?
No, it's impossible. But I guess it was possible. They broke the rules. Yeah. This is against the rules, though. So, but yeah, so it's a two-factor authenticator app that was on Google Play for 2 weeks. You know, an alternative to other real legitimate two-factor apps, like ones by Google and, you know, many others.
So now we know how long Google's manual review process takes.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah, after you can download it. But it had already been downloaded 10,000 times. And yeah, it was stealing users' information.
So are
Do
you
you
telling?
do you feel sorry for someone that goes out and gets a two-factor app that they never?
They're trying to be more secure.
Yeah. Well, so think about it like this: the attacks are more complicated than you might realize. There could be an ad that says "download Authy," and then it's just a link to their app, right?
Yes,
like
yes.
it can be like they can piggyback off of someone else. I mean, I guess due diligence. Read who's the publisher. Is it verified? If any two-factor app has 10,000 downloads, don't download it. Don't even think about it. Like, wait until it hits a mill. You know what I mean?
Yeah, wait till it's really in there, you know?
Yeah, wait till the 7-figure range for the
Wait till you've heard of them before?
Or that. Well, but yeah.
They'll make a name like Corey was saying, and then they'll pay to get it promoted in the App Store. So it's at the very top, like right above the legitimate one, and then everyone will be downloading it. Yeah. It's all, you can.
It's the same thing for web searches. Never click on the top result.
Yeah.
That's always click the ad first. It's always the best one.
I mean, also just don't take a risk on a new app for two-factor. You know, if it's a new game or something, maybe like, oh, it's a new version of whatever game.
Just revise that and say don't take a chance on anything like that. I always wait for it to.
Yeah,
it's like don't ever go with 1.0. No.
See,
Fair.
And this is why I don't have an Android. Just this. No, I'm joking.
Well, dude, so that is an interesting thing. There is a difference, and this has always been a difference between the two ecosystems. Apple has a manual review process pre-go live. So, like, if you want to get your app in the store, they make you go through pat you down and look for bulges, and then eventually they let you in. Google's like, come on in. And then they're like, hold on.
Whoa,
Look at that guy.
Bouncer.
What's that guy over there with the neon glasses who's grinding on everyone? Get him out of here. So, yeah, I mean, that is kind of a reversal that I guess make your own consumer-informed advice. But there can be malware in real app stores, and it can be there for an extended period of time.
I think the Apple debate one is they let you in and then they're like, what? You're selling books? No, you're out.
That's old school, man. But yeah, that was the world for a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
They had but dude, that's so anti-competitive. They were going to get sued out the wazoo.
Well, no, but it's their platform, So, either way.
We talk about the hackers exploit MS-HTML flaw.
Oh yeah, I know you love
HTML. Good times, dude.
Classic,
I mean,
dude. Classic. Bring back 95.
Man,
That's
dude,
all I have to say.
HTAs are coming back.
I want to
Can't
get
wait.
down to the nitty gritty on this one, because this one's also pretty funny in my view.
OneDrive command and control. You had me at hello.
People getting hacked isn't funny. Steve.
So basically, the basis of this one is that security research by which I think is the new company Trellix, which is the new company followed merger of McAfee and FireEye, which I don't know if we talked about that before, but those two companies.
We have not. I didn't even know that was a thing, man.
Tell me. So those two are now one, and they come out with this report that type of communication allows malware to go unnoticed on victim systems since it will only connect to legitimate Microsoft domains. So you talked about the OneDrive command and control. So if we scroll down a little bit, let's just talk about the flow of this attack a little bit. So we've got an exploit server. It's not really an exploit server. That's a C2 server out there, or a file sharing server on the left. They sent in CVE 2021-40440, which was an Excel spreadsheet which has this exploit in it for that CVE, which downloads a second stage, right, a DLL, which then connects to Microsoft's OneDrive command and control. So we've seen that before, command and control over trusted third parties using the Graph API. And actually, there's a C2 on my GitHub from another researcher who does this with Azure tokens.
I assume it's like modifying files. It's like modifying files in your OneDrive and stuff like that.
Yeah, just so like you put your command, it says it's a text file. It's either encoded or encrypted, and it says, do this task next. It goes to OneDrive, it picks out the task, and then does whatever's next. But the thing that interests me is, okay, they go through all that. They've got this nice Graph C2, Graph API C2, and then they download another stager, which then downloads a C# stager, which then runs PowerShell Empire, for crying out loud, in 2022, 2021.
I was going to say,
in this article, they talk about how advanced this attacker is. How advanced is this, and how bad are the defenders to where you can get to the point of you're deploying Empire after you've already deployed another C2, right? So this is, I don't know if it's for misattribution.
All the EDRs entered the chat and dumped 100 endpoint alerts into it. Yeah, I mean, I guess my thoughts on this are two things. One, we had a little bit of an internal debate last week about, are threat actors, real threat actors, are they using what we would call pen tester techniques, or are they like using different techniques? I think this goes ahead and proves the fact that they're using pen tester techniques, seeing as how they're literally using stuff that pen testers or red teamers or whoever you want to call them have blogged about, have, publicly disclosed, and also that they're using tools that are open source, right? Like it's very interesting to see it being used in real world malware.
Right. And it's not always the fanciest thing that has to get in. It's not always the newest, latest.
It works.
Plus, it was retooled.
And they're talking about defense industry is the targets of this. So if you're able to get code execution and actually run PowerShell Empire, it's too late, right? You're too late.
And a super masked like if you get your ducks in a row as like a malware, you can do things without doing anything crazy on like the actual implant, the actual loaders, the actual seat, like, you know what I mean? As long as you have modified and use it, like using trusted Microsoft services, etc., like it proves that it does work. And apparently people think it's advanced. So you should see what we do on real red teams. If you think, I guess we can call ourselves APTs now.
Yeah. It's official. Look at the diagram.
Look at the diagram. Yeah, actually, I'm going to steal that. I'm going to steal that diagram and just use it in my next report. I'll just modify the Empire part.
Is this where I start firing for copying paste?
Yeah, we... I was just kidding. It was conjecture.
It was conjecture. It's called a joke. I'm not serious, man. Copy, paste.
Hey, Ryan, are we recording this? Okay, I have my evidence.
Don't look at my current report, CJ. It's not in there.
This is not the report you're looking for.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so my final thought about that is PowerShell is dead. Long live PowerShell.
Long live PowerShell.
Right? Right?
So
yeah,
are
that is.
character passwords, they're dead too, but you still use them. So
Yeah. Well, are you trying to summon John? Because it really should be 7 character passwords.
Seven,
that's
yeah.
PCI only. PCI only. For
He's
that.
about to call in.
John's about to be.
He's definitely on a plane right this minute because he just.
Yeah,
called
I know.
me.
He's going to call in from the
Well, I was
plane.
hot,
They
Mike.
have phones.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
2022, man. They had those in the
Yeah.
80s.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, that's where we live. We live in a world
That's
where it was
where we live.
available in the 1980s and probably worked better back then.
Yeah. Whatever. Anyways, that's another rant. Was there any others you guys want to talk about? You want to wrap it up here? I mean,
We're at an hour, so it better be good.
I didn't have anything else good per se. So if you guys are good, I think we can take this ship and sail out of here. I was looking for a good analogy. I don't know where it was going.
Back it up.
Take this ship and sink it.
Yeah.
Take this ship and run PowerShell on it.
Yep. So, well, yeah. Thanks for joining and listening to us rant about how Ukraine and their security and everything security. So until next time, we will see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Later, guys.
Bye.